So we're going to look at 3 different replays at 3 different MMRs. The first one being Archon 3 Juggernaut, then Legend 3, and finally Immortal. And people in the comments were asking for games that were a little bit closer together in the first 2 replays. So in this time we're doing only 850 MMR between the 2, and a lot of new people subscribed, so I want to give a shout out to anyone who did subscribe. So straight away, Juggernaut buys a Quelling Blade in the side shop with the extra gold that he got from the bounty. His starting items were 3 tangos and 2 mangoes, but this is pretty okay regen. He might have wanted to buy a little bit more, and this Wind Ranger just sits under the tower. Meanwhile, the enemy team has an Ursa sitting in the jungle, and there's a Legion Commander in the jungle. And Bounty Hunter is helping, like trying to stop them to jungle. But overall, they need to finish this game early. They have 1 hero in each lane, and Juggernaut should be getting almost maximum last hits here. However, if we look, the first item that he's after buying is a Ring of Health, and he bought it in the home shop. So what he probably doesn't know is that you can buy that in the secret shop. So if you walked up here and just went to this shop, you can buy it in here. This lane is constantly pushed. Queen of Pain is never going to help this Jugger to pull or anything. She just wants to take as much experience and gold from him as possible. So now Jugger is always full health in the lane, which is okay, but he's never going to get ganked because the enemy team has 2 junglers and they're not going to come out of the jungle until they have their items, and they're playing super greedy. So buying this Ring of Health was not really that useful, and it's also very hard to get kills if you don't have boots, or even phase boots is more ideal. So he's pushing out this tower, which is a really good idea to finish out the game earlier, and he's not taking tower hits, which is a good idea. And he could even use his healing more to push that tower a little bit quicker. He could have tanked some of it. He has 2 points in healing more. And right here now, he has vision of the Legion Commander coming from the high ground, and Legion's level 4, she can't duel him. He spins a little bit early. He could have done a little bit extra damage. He now uses Omni Slash. He does dodge the Sunstrike doing that. But here now, he can de-aggro the tower from like actually using an attack on the creep, but he never did. So he ends up taking several tower hits and ends up dying as a result. Small things like buying a Wraith Band give you extra points in strength, so that extra little bit of health could have survived him from 1 extra tower hit. And he has his Omni Slash ready, but he doesn't have mana, so he uses his Shrine on his own, which is not ideal. Now you would probably buy Clarities, so while you're farming the jungle you use a Clarity, and you can keep 1 or 2 Clarities in your backpack at most times throughout the game, which is what more higher skill players do when they are farming the jungle excessively. Now Omni Slash is still ready, but he's not doing anything but farming, and he spends about 2 minutes just farming the jungle here. Now straight away there's a fight. He goes in, he spins just before the Echo Slam, which is really good timing, and then he finishes off Earthshaker with the Omni Slash. However, you will notice that Omni Slash is pretty slow. It does very little slashes. The reason why is Omni Slash is now based off of attack speed, and you'll see Juggernaut has no extra attack speed items. Even if he bought a Wraith Band, it's very high value. Now he doesn't have Omni Slash, and he's going back to the jungle, and he farms these 3 camps over and over again. And what's really kind of like odd about this is that his offlaner probably wants to farm these 3 camps or something like that. So the other part of his jungle, like the main part, is not being farmed at all by anyone, which is quite unfortunate. Invoker going for a Tornado, and Invoker has used up all of his mana now, so he's going back to base. Bounty Hunter pressured him, and Juggernaut pushes down the tower during that time, which is a pretty good decision to be made there. Especially, like, we need to finish out this game early, but still the enemy's safe lane tower is still there, and that's where Juggernaut should be. He should also be thinking about farming the enemy's part of the jungle, and he's also bought Dust in case Invoker goes invisible. And this is the first time he farms the main part of his jungle, which is quite like odd. Typically you even farm some of the main part of your jungle while you're laning, so you push the lane, go back and do the jungle, so you can actually get more than 80 last hits in the laning stage in a good game. And here he wastes Omni Slash, and it's a very long cooldown spell, so it's important to use it only when you really need it. And now he's pushing this tower on his own while his team is diving, so his team is up here like diving tier 3s against a Legion Commander. But Jugger's doing the right thing here. He's pushing the tower, and however he stayed here a little bit too long, and he's going to get punished for it. So he got shackled, then Jewel, so they have lots of physical damage to follow up on that. He goes back to these 3 camps and farms them. So this is he's stacked the camp even there. So overall, like, this Jugger, his item build is probably his most detrimental thing overall. So he's going MKB next just so he can deal with his Wind Ranger. No one else on the enemy team has any evasion items, and CK is really doing the carrying here. And he's not getting much damage out in fights. He's coming here, he uses his dust for the first time there and actually secures the kill on Invoker. So pretty good usage of dust there. So now straight after that fight, they're going to push this tier 3 tower. However, this is a really crucial part of the game. So Juggernaut has no Omni Slash, there's no CK ultimate, and the enemy team have all of their ultimates, and 4 of them are alive. Earthshaker comes in, Juggernaut is like really bad camera angle there, but at the same time it was pretty bad idea to push there when they had Echo Slam. Either way, there isn't much that he could have really done there. It's hard to react to that, but overall it was his positioning what caused his death. But Rubik ends up abandoning the game a little bit later on. Here Ursa is just right clicking Jugger, 1 stun from Earthshaker, and he's dead. And even his Sunstrike is there too. So he was 100% dead, but there just by pushing on his own. So now Juggernaut just ends up going into a farming spree. He's not really doing anything. He TP's bottom into the enemy vision. Wind Ranger shackle shots him to the tree. If there was someone else there pushing with Wind Ranger, which he didn't know, Juggernaut was dead, right? He TP'd into the enemy vision. He should have TP'd behind the tower in the trees where the enemy can't see them. And Wind Ranger doesn't have her level 20 talent yet, which is invisibility. And he's several times pushing up really far on his own without his team behind him. Now this is very questionable. A lot of the reason why he just bought BKB is to deal with Earthshaker's Echo Slam, because that's why he died the last time. But now he ends up dying to Jewel, which is not really helped by BKB. And as I said the previous time, that if there was someone else there to help the Wind Ranger, he would have died. But this time Legion was there with Ursa, so 2 players, so pushing again on his own. His teammates are top. He can die very, very quickly at this point in the game. They should have also focused on Roche earlier on, which they never did. And it's really important to deny the Roche away from Ursa. And they're just getting comboed here. Juggernaut's really low health. The MKB ended up killing Wind Ranger with the Omni Slash. He's using his BKB now. He used his BKB before the Omni Slash, and he just gets Sunstrike now. Unfortunately, the game is slowly dwindling out of control because everyone gets picked off one by one. And Juggernaut now has no Omni Slash for 30 seconds. He's going farming again, and pushing out a lane, and ended up getting attacked by Ursa. He almost died here, and he walks back in and gets hit by the Echo Slam at like maximum range. So the BKB wasn't very useful there, and using BKB against Ursa wasn't very good either. It did save him from Tornado, but these item choices are pretty awful, to be fair. And he has 2 kills. He's the lowest on the scoreboard for kills, and it's usually the other way around for a Juggernaut. He wants to be the highest kill. Conclusion of this Juggernaut, he was pretty bad. He didn't kill many people. He farmed too much. He didn't farm the enemy jungle. He didn't apply much pressure to the enemy team. So now we're looking at the Legend 3 Juggernaut. He's 850 MMR higher than the previous one. And straight away, his items, he bought more regen. He bought a healing salve, and he has spin level 1. Lich goes for the ward. And now Lich is in trouble. So what does Juggernaut do? He body blocks the axe to prevent him from being able to get right clicks. And this is really good. Lich gets his salve off, and arrow doesn't hit him. Axe even dives the tower a little bit to get extra battle hunger damage onto Lich. And that was overall a pretty good trade of what Juggernaut made use of the bad situation there. Now straight away, he's going to be harassed and contested a lot more in this lane because there's a Marana axe. Pretty decent combo here, and but Juggernaut Lich combo is pretty good too, and Marana arrow really well timed there just as the spin ended, saves her axe player, and Juggernaut uses his salve, and straight away when he uses salve it allows him to come back straight to lane and start last seeking creeps, whereas with tangos the regen is very slow and risking it being low health in lane is not very ideal. So now after Lich's pull, the lane is going to push, and Juggernaut is going to spin and get a kill here. Lich's armor. So Jugger did pretty well in terms of countering back at this heavy harass and aggressive lane. But he's last sitting under his tower, getting almost all the last hit. He missed the siege creep, and Axe is here. He's getting chased down, and Juggernaut is pressuring him back. So Mirana now only has one charge and leap, and they end up getting the kill, which is really nice. Again, this Lich Jugger combo is pretty strong and has lots of kill potential in comparison to the previous lane. There's a lot more what the Juggernaut and Lich can do. TP's back to the shrine for health and mana, which is an okay thing to do, but it would have been better if he walked there. And Lich now TP back to base, wasting the enemy mana. So that's very beneficial to Juggernaut, and it's a lot better than what the Queen of Pain was doing last game. Axe is cutting the creep wave. He contested straight away. He has the healing ward too. Mirana doesn't go after the healing ward either. There's a lot of gold for that. He's kind of not microing the healing ward, just selecting both units, both the healing ward and himself, and moving to care. Now he has Omni Slash but not enough mana, but he can use his stick, which is very good idea to pick up this stick early on, because you get the charges and he's holding on to them for the right idea. He bought 2 clarities now, and he's spinning. He's gone too deep here now, as he gets lucky, and he just amounts to survive, and Lich picked up the kill instead. Okay trade there. Could have gone bad, a little bit of a roll of the dice there as well. So much, and this is generally where you want to be. Axe is now calling Jugger, kind of just about dying here. Jugger and Axe kind of really weird plays, but Jugger didn't need to get called there. Axe just literally walked up to him, and what you'll also notice, this Jugger does not aggro the creep wave in the laning stage, which can sometimes be beneficial against Axe. He's wasting some time here deciding where he's going to go next. He could have been thinking about this stuff while he was dead and looking at where he's going. So now he's walking here to the rune to see if he gets a rune. He doesn't really know what he's doing right now, and he might have been trying to go mid to get a kill there, but yeah, it's kind of like weird play there. He wasted some time. He came back and just like Omni Slash the Axe there and got a kill again. The Juggernaut also bought phase boots, and he's going a Yasha first, which is a really good option. They're diving really hard for just a kill on Mirana. Now that dive was probably not worth it, so they used 2 TPs out on both Magnus and Juggernaut, but Mirana kill only gave them 188 gold, so it technically cost them 100 gold to escape, and it gained them 188. So there's 88 gold that was worth, and they used the RP for that. It was just not worth it. So here's something that's like pretty small, how Juggernaut is farming away here, and he's lasting under his tower. But Windranger, in comparison to the last one, our previous Juggernaut did not understand the concept of denying creeps that much. So you see here, Juggernaut even walks out of the way of Power Shot, and he's trying to actively deny Windranger a farm, even if it's 14 minutes into the game. So now Jugger is just farming along. Mirana is there harassing him. He's standing in lane, and in comes Axe. So this is the first usage of Blink from Axe, and it's 19 minutes into the game. He should have expected Blink by now, but he probably forgot about it. He did TP out, and there's 80-second cooldown on TP, so that's pretty bad to just try and TP out there, especially when you didn't have spin, and it just wasn't a good choice, because a lot of the time in previous patches there was a much lower cooldown on TP, and it was really worth it. But now he has 40-second cooldown on TP. He has Omni Slash, so it means that there's about 40 to 50 seconds where he can't really TP rotate to anywhere and Omni Slash someone, and he could have picked up an extra kill if he didn't end up dying there. So he's spent probably the past 3 to 5 minutes without using Omni Slash, even though it's been ready the entire time. They push down this tower. They have RP, and they can get ready for a fight here. Now Juggernaut's backing off, and Magnus goes in and gets a nice little RP here on 3 heroes. Juggernaut wasn't really ready for that. The creeps come in as well, and the IO like teleportation in with the Luna, and this IO is actually a really good player, and he's body blocking like the Juggernaut as well by standing in the tree line. The IO was, but kind of a good counterplay by the enemy team, but at the same time bad timing, like bad teamwork overall. And you see that to a certain extent that was a little bit of Magnus' fault, but unfortunate that Juggernaut didn't really get any kills. So poor usage of Omni Slash from probably the 15 to 20 minute mark. So again here Juggernaut is just farming and focusing on farming. But if he ended up dying here. If we go back 20 seconds and look at where Axe is, right? Look at where his position is, right? See how he walked here? If we go to free camera and we see that they actually have vision here. See this observer board? They can see all of this going on. You can see Axe walking through the ward and walking bottom with Mirana. You can even see them placing down an enemy observer ward here. And Juggernaut didn't react to any of that. So very poor awareness by the Juggernaut. And he could have easily saved himself from that. What he could have also done there and still utilized the farm that was available to him was to use his Manta style and use the illusions to push the lane. Meanwhile, he walks back and into a safer position. So now Juggernaut's in farming mode. He's trying to farm up his next item, but what you'll see is he never uses his Manta style. It's an activatable that you can use, and if you are focusing on farming and not looking for a fight, it's important to use it. It allows you to potentially farm an extra camp during that minute, or even push out a lane aggressively. Now he spends about 20 to 25 seconds with his invis rune looking for a kill, and they end up finding this Wind Ranger, but Io teleports in. Axe call, Juggernaut spin. He didn't spin yet. He Omni Slash and hit a lot of creeps, but he ends up getting cleaned up here. And this Io, I'm pretty sure, is like a smurf or something. The last Juggernaut, even though he had better farming items, this Jugger, he's not 100% efficiency, but he is much more efficient. So Axe is still, could have just blink called him there. He doesn't know where the enemy team are. Now they appear. Juggernaut doesn't want to fight this. Good idea while Magnus isn't there. And he isn't getting empowered. Now he got empowered. So here they're pushing their tier 3 with Luna, which Luna is a really good hero for like taking all of your towers, and Juggernaut instead wants to go and push this tier 2. Now he decides to TP back when it's way later after Magnus is out. And it's not really what you want to be doing either on Magnus, which is to use your RP when there's no one around. So they end up killing Wind Ranger, which is not all that great. Storm is jumping for kills, but Juggernaut isn't really moving his camera and see where the rest of his team is. And now he actually looked top, right? So when he looked top, he can see there's no one defending. So if there's no one defending up here, where are they? They must be still in our jungle because they're looking for a kill. Now Jugger farms on his own, and unfortunately with the Mirana ult, he ends up dying very quickly. And Juggernaut buys back. So Jugger is coming in. He has his Omni Slash ready. And Io teleports out. Really good play there by the Io. And Axe, Blade Mail, doing a lot of damage. And now Luna comes back. And Juggernaut wasn't expecting that. He was probably expecting just the Io on his own. And Juggernaut is taking lots of damage. He just about survived. And dying there could have cost him like a large amount of the game. But he ends up surviving there. Juggernaut goes back in, focusing the Io first. He has no detection. Io has Glimmer Cape. Now he's a Ghost Scepter. He's getting kited really hard there, and just by not looking at the support's items, he ends up like dying there. So it's important to do look at items on critical targets that you are trying to focus. Overall, this Juggernaut was definitely better, but he could have utilized his Omni Slash a lot better in the 10 to 25 minute bracket, and his items were a little bit better, but his network overall was pretty awful. The enemy team was pretty good, and their strategy was executed a lot better with the Io and Luna, whereas the Magnus Juggernaut is really strong combo, but they played it quite poorly. So now we're looking at an Immortal rank 2 player playing Juggernaut. It's Agit, and they have lots of pigs. There's a Tiny in the enemy team, and straight away oh god, there's so many pigs. What? Oh my god. Okay, he buys 6 tangos. There's kind of like they contesting the enemy bounty rune together as a team, and you know, blocking the creeps, just stopping them before, just getting them right in front of their tower. Now with this lane in particular, Tiny has really high attack damage, but Juggernaut has faster attack speed. The Grimstroke can do an enormous amount for Wrath, and straight off the bat, Juggernaut using his spin and getting a kill there and securing the kill for himself. Just using his Mango, he has Boots of Speed, so that's straight away the first item he buys. Last sitting under his tower now is similar to what we saw before, but they're playing a lot more aggressive, and also the enemy is better at, say, dodging spin. For example, Tiny tried to sidestep Juggernauts, but it's just pulling this big camp, and cutting down these trees with Quelling Blade was a really good idea. They end up getting a kill there just using Grimstroke spell with spin. It's one Shadow Shaman gets caught out of position. He has really bad movement speed, so it's really easy for Juggernaut to keep up with him. He spin TPs back to his shrine. Grimstroke was using it anyways, and it allows him to just like farm the wave, not miss any creeps in lane, and come back. So there is a high level of efficiency of that TP, but at the same time, we see the previous Juggernaut didn't do any. He didn't use the spin to push his creep wave out. He just TP'd back to the shrine to utilize it, and he used it on his own without his support. Different items, we have the Wraith Band and Treads this time. So Treads is kind of an interesting one since the recent patches, because again, it gives you extra attack speed, and the Treads also has been changed for attack speed, so it gives you plus 20 attack speed now. So that's a lot of extra, so you do more slashes, and that's really good early on, especially when you want to try and burst down a high HP hero like Tiny. And you see, oh, the bounces were pretty bad there. I'm very unlucky with those bounces, and they end up getting away. So RNG cannot always work in your favor, even if you're rank 2. So the enemy Timbersaw is now creating lots of havoc. He's taking down the tier 1 and tier 2 mid. Juggernaut comes in to try and help. He has spin, and the spin helps get some magical damage in there too. But there's lots of pressure in other lanes which Juggernaut now has to deal with. So if he lost his lane, it could have been game over very quickly. And he's buying Clarity, healing up straight away at like 10 minutes into the game. He's buying Clarities so he can jungle quickly. Now Juggernaut's only 62 last hits, which is again roughly the same as what we were seeing the previous Juggernaut at, but what you need to understand is the pace of the game is much faster. There's other stuff happening in other lanes that is creating much more pressure, and if you're able to help your allies in some cases, as long as you're not going to die yourself and you can actually save them, it's a really good idea to commit to this. So going in with the spin first on Shadow Shaman, and using the spin on Shadow Shaman is a really good idea, because if you get hexed or shackled, the spin lasts a very long duration, so it kind of makes Shadow Shaman hesitate, and he has to run away until spin ends. And very good backing off here, and it's something that's like relatively small, but just the fact that he didn't die there was a pretty good interaction overall, losing as little amount as you can from a team fight. So he's again just farming away. He's coming top to help shut down this Tinker again. Io teleport in with the Gyrocopter, spin straight away once, very well timed, and the almost perfect timing as well on the spin, so that he doesn't get hit by Gyrocopter's ultimate, and Omni Slash to finish off the Timbersaw. So these are pretty effective kills, and we look, Juggernaut has 3 kills already, which is better than the 2 Juggernauts in their entire match, or equal to the previous Juggernaut. I think he only had like 3 kills at the end. There's not much that can kill Juggernaut if he doesn't go completely out of position, and they have Doom now. They have, oh, they're getting hexed here. So this is what I was saying about you need to spin while growing closer to Shadow Shaman. Not the greatest usage of Omni Slash there. He could have got unlucky and the creeps could have like jumped on them. So spin, TP out, pretty good usage of the spin TP combo. And the Fusel Blade is his first item after Yasha. So this is quite different, and a lot of the reason for this is to deal with the IO Gyrocopter, so that he can slow their movement speed down. And fast movement speed heroes are generally bad overall for Juggernaut, because he actually doesn't have that creative movement speed, and using his healing ward, actually microing it so that the enemy can't see it. So if they go on him again, this Tiny either has a blink or Shadow Blade. He has a blink, and Juggernaut could get jumped on a little bit here. So they're going in for a kill now, starting off with the bow, pretty good start. He gets Hex straight away. He should have used Spin earlier on. While he's spinning, he attacks the Serpent Wards and gets through it very quickly. If he had Phase Boots, he could just run through the Serpent Wards by activating these, because he can pass through units. So now he's backing off for whatever reason. He doesn't want to get shackled by Shadow Shaman. I think that's why he was backing up there. But just playing it safe, he wants to focus this Timbersaw, or else he was predicting that Timbersaw was going to try and burst him. So Shadow Shaman and Tiny, okay, that was probably he was waiting for. He was waiting for the Tiny to appear, and in combo with the Shadow Shaman they can crowd control and control this Juggernaut down from full health. So the stun from Grimstroke on top of the spin, really powerful and to a certain extent overpowered. But this Juggernaut ended up dying there. But overall, I think that they're winning this fight. It seems like this Timbersaw is super hard to take down, and they can't get him. Like, this Timbersaw is just imba. Juggernaut's constantly just farming. He's in farming mode, and Gyrocopter and Io is top. So he's thinking about checking to see if they have any stacks there at that big camp. And what he does straight away is spin TP out. And he's been doing this a lot of the parts of the game. But now you'll realize he has no TP scroll. So it's 70 seconds until he can TP somewhere. And the enemy team is utilizing this. So Juggernaut is not here. He potentially could have TP'd to his shrine, which would have been a better idea. And he could have predicted this ahead of time. However, he didn't. It's kind of a hard thing to predict. But he doesn't have Omni Slash for 25 seconds. And they could take this fight because they're under the shrine. Now Juggernaut is also quite hesitant. He just wants to pick off the Io, maybe get a kill on Timbersaw. And Io is actually Dendy, and he's outplaying this Jugger pretty well. And Jugger just backs off. So Gyrocopter's after getting a triple kill. He's not commissioning anything. He could have even put his healing ward down to help his teammate. They probably have vision here. So Io TP's in with the Gyrocopter. And just with right clicks, Gyrocopter gets a rampage. So Jugger with no buyback now. The enemy team is pushing high ground. And they've already lost a lane of racks. So now they're going to just straight away take their shrines. This is not good. So they've lost a lot of map control at this point in the game. And players will utilize this map control a lot better. And if we look at like the enemy's positioning right now, you'll see that they're mostly positioned in the enemy jungle. They're not going back into their own jungle and farming there. They want to keep advantage of whatever vision they have, put wards down the enemy jungle and control those wards so that make sure that nobody comes and just instantly dewards them. So they have the Grimstroke, Disarm on top, Gyrocopter and a Silence, but nowhere to be seen is Juggernaut. So Juggernaut is farming at the other side of the lane, so he doesn't want to join fights for whatever reason, and he doesn't have much interest in coming back and looking for kills or anything. So he's looking for a kill on Shadow Shaman with the spin, not using his Omni Slash, which is generally a good play. Just hide in the trees, wait for good prediction ahead of time of what Shadow Shaman was going to try and do. Now he picks up Moon Shard, and he has no buyback in Jugger, so he's going in for a really fast attack speed with his Omni Slash. Whether this will pay off or not, I don't know. So he's getting the Mulnir bounces, which kills Timbersaw from full health. Actually gets a kill there, which was quite useful, but Gyrocopter is a pretty big problem, especially the Io. He uses the Fusel Blade there, and they're chasing for a kill. The X marks the spot. They get the Gyrocopter. Tiny blinks in, even trying to help, but the Io teleport out. Gyro's left on his own, and this X marks the spot is helping them close the distance. Went for the plus 1 second Omni Slash duration, plus 10 armor, plus 20 attack speed. The previous Juggernaut went plus 50 Blade Fury movement speed, which is kind of questionable. He was playing against a Luna, which his idea was that he could keep up with him, but generally the attack speed is much better because of the fact that you get more bounces in your Omni Slash, and also allows you to farm much quicker, which is some relatively efficient thing. And this Mulnir is going to work, and really big damage coming out there from the Omni Slash, banking a lot on this Omni Slash. If he pulls off a bad Omni Slash, it could potentially cost them the game at this point. So now, while they're mega, the enemy team was waiting for Roshan to come up. As we saw, they looked at, like, Radiant looked into Roshan to see if it was up. It wasn't ready, so they take Rosh, the Aegis on Gyrocopter, and this is the first fight straight after Rosh. They're taking a fight mid, and usually these fights after they take Rosh are quite unprepared by the team that's defending, because they're all split up because of the megas. But meanwhile, Gyrocopter is backdooring with Io. They use the fortification really early. Here they're teleporting out by hiding in the trees, and they get away with Io, and the X marks the spot onto Io to bring them back. This is the fortifications up. Io Gyrocopter is available right now, and Hex, the Shackle, and they probably have the Shackle duration. They're using Glimmer Cape and Force Staff onto Juggernaut, so counterplay back with the magic damage here from Ghost Ship and Spin, and Gyrocopter is ratting. So this is a back and forth game, so there's really either team can still win it this time, and it's not fun to keep losing to this, losing towers one by one. So they're going for a smoke. They're after scanning Roshan. There's nobody in Rosh, and they potentially know that Rosh isn't even up, so they don't know where the enemy is. They need to pick off. Their lanes are pushed out, and instead of sitting in base, they're going for a kill. Well, they're going for this fight and approaching from the back. So Gyro gets his BKB off, but he gets doomed straight away. Juggernaut going in now, or the Omni Slash, and he goes on Io, which uses Ghost Scepter straight away. And if Juggernaut had something like a Nullifier or an Abyssal Blade, he could have got Io disabled before he used that Ghost Scepter. And you can use your items in Omni Slash, so it would have been a much better item choice. And this adaptive item build for dealing with the Timber Saw was kind of okay, but it ended up not working out very well for them. And he didn't save for buyback, and it's kind of useless to save for buyback in this kind of game, because once you run out of Omni Slash, when you don't have it anymore, you're kind of useless. All in all, this Juggernaut played significantly better in the earlier parts of the game. His itemization was adaptive but not perfect, but it was a significantly harder game, and there was a lot more happening globally on the map with this Gyrocopter and Io play. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe.